you feeling stuck, lost, tired, or uninspired? We've all been there, including myself. I'm Coach Des, mindset motivator and lifestyle entrepreneur. I'm here to tell you that the best, unapologetic, and limitless version of yourself is yet to come. The Born Unbreakable podcast is here to inspire just that. With motivating guests from all different walks of life and around the world, their stories will empower you to unlock abundance and your unbreakable spirit. Do you need accountability? Reach out to me for a free consultation of how I can support you in reaching your maximum potential. Welcome to the Born Unbreakable podcast. I have a topic today that I was telling my guest, Tom Paladino, I think maybe the first introduction for many people too. That's just a guess on my part. And if I get feedback from people that say, oh, I've known about this topic, I will be surprised. But we're talking about scalar energy today. And so my guest, Tom Paladino, is based out in Florida. He's a scalar light energy researcher, which I'll let him explain what that means. But for those of you who this is your first introduction to this topic, scalar light enhances your spiritual and energetic state of being, and it detects and cleanses pathogens from your photograph, something new that I learned, which Tom will explain more about. But he's essentially developed scalar energy instruments that are capable of healing, and he can talk more about those instruments and the programs that are attached to it. But I know I am a full student today, Tom, on this subject. So I'm eager, just like everyone else who is listening, to learn more. But thank you for coming on the show, and thank you for taking some time out of your day to talk about this with me.
It's a pleasure and an honor. Thank you, Desiree.
So I have to start with your story because I can't imagine Tom at 5 years old telling his parents that scalar energy was the thing that he was going to go research in his years and years and years from university onward. So tell me about you and the path that led you to this place, if you will.
That's a great starting point. I had an idyllic childhood. I had great parents, great mom, a great dad. And because of that normal setting, that set the tone for my life. What do I mean by that? Well, I was always inquisitive, and I always wanted to learn. And learning doesn't stop after high school or college. It's an ongoing affair. So with that in mind, I'm happy to say that my life has been a life of discipline and a life of pursuit of knowledge, wisdom. And I believe that scalar energy, the topic that we'll discuss today, is going to pique everybody's interest because this offers such a broad scale approach to improve our lifestyle. That's what I want to do. That really is the undercurrent here, to use this technology to improve everybody's lifestyle.
That's amazing. And I will say, Tom, that through this pandemic, of which we are surpassing 2 years, is a dominant theme that I've heard from people, different backgrounds, different ages, is this a greater intensity to improve the quality of life. And when I say that, I mean everything from what they eat, their nutrition, their exercise and physical habits, and absolutely, probably at the top of the list is mental well-being. I think isolation and different things have done stuff to people where they want all of those things, if possible, to wake up and have a day of equilibrium where all of those things are in balance. So for you to be in a space that is prime for people looking to improve their health and their healing is a pretty cool thing. So probably the best place to start is you describing what is scalar energy.
I say this so often, everybody is a scalar energy researcher. Everybody has expertise in scalar energy. It's sunlight, starlight. It's the initial energy of the sun and stars. Some cultures call that chi, prana. Others might call that 0 point energy or life force energy. It's sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
It's the initial energy of the stars. And after that, we see a breakdown or a degradation into electricity and magnetism. So the initial energy of the
Mm-hmm.
universe is this life force energy, scalar energy, that is far superior to the converted form, to that of the degraded form, which is electricity and magnetism. So why not work with the perfect energy, scalar energy, as opposed to the imperfect energy, electromagnetic energy?
Mm-hmm. And when did you start researching this deeper and have this curiosity to see how you can harness it into benefits for people?
Okay, so I've been at this for 50 years. So in the 70s, prior to the advent of the commercial computer, I was reading books about Nikola Tesla as a youngster. And this great man, Nikola Tesla, many of you have heard of him, was able to create and harness scalar energy. He was the first one to create a scalar energy instrument that I know of. And what he could achieve with scalar energy is just mind-boggling. Nobody has duplicated his results to this day. So I knew he was onto something. I knew that Tesla had discovered another energy, which was scalar energy. And from that point on, as a youngster, I said, this is it. This is the technology of technologies. You see, why is light so important? It's fundamental. It's the cause. It's the cause of action. It's not the effect, it's the cause. So why not work with an energy, scalar energy, that is the cause of all action in the universe? So if you work with scalar energy, you are in charge of that action. You have command over the universe. And this is what Tesla achieved. He had command over the universe.
Wow. We're talking about light, energy, the stars. How do we translate that into benefits and if you could get into the programs that you offer?
Yeah.
Because people tuning in, they're going, okay, I kind of get it. There's it's this universal thing. What do I get out of it?
Yeah.
What is it that is going to make me better, stronger, healthier, more mentally clear? How does that work?
Yeah, so that's a good point. So what are the benefits? Well, I'm all about benefits. I'm all about results. So with these scalar energy instruments, again, I'm working with scalar energy, not electricity. I am able to take a photograph of a person and work through their quantum field. Now, what do I mean? People will email me a photograph. This is my photograph. And I actually place a photograph inside the instrument. So there are no in-person sessions because we're not working with physical reality. We're working with information. So a scalar energy instrument sends non-physical information, and we do it through the quantum field, through the energy field found on a person's photograph. So I actually place a photograph inside the instrument. And then I'm going to mention 3 functions, standardized functions that we've perfected with this technology. We're able to work through that photograph and send information into that quantum field. And we're able to actually create vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. Now, it's an information system. So what we're doing is we're actually creating the molecular bonds of a vitamin. We're not creating the vitamin itself. We're creating the intelligence to bring together the necessary elements to create a vitamin. So
When you
these are
translate that
instructions.
to a photo, so
Yes.
I could say, Tom, I want to experience these benefits. I'm going to send you a photo
Yes.
of myself
Yes.
that I'd want you to place into your instrument
Correct.
so that I could experience the benefits that you're talking about. Is it that simple?
It's that simple. We have a free trial. Anybody in the world can do that. That's it. Why is it so simple? Good point. Because we're working with energy, and energy is fundamental. And energy does exactly what you ask it to do. So there's no intermediary. There is no stepping stone here. With energy, it's simply a cause and effect relationship, and that's what we're looking at. And that's why it's so wonderful. Now, keep in mind, we've avoided any physical construct. We've avoided any physical manifestation. It's information. So I'm downloading information into a person's photograph, and I'm telling their quantum field to create a vitamin, an antioxidant, or a mineral. How does it do that? It simply sends instructions into the quantum field to create that vitamin. So instead of getting your vitamins from food or a supplement, I'm not against that, by the way. Instead of getting your vitamins from food supplements, we can actually create a vitamin, transmute, or what I would say, rearrange elements into a vitamin.
A physical one? Like one that they would take physically?
I can't prove that because I'm only working through the information field. So on my photograph, I can prove that there is a presence now of vitamins on the photograph, embedded in the photograph. Now, for me to be able to prove this with people, we can't do that yet because there's no protocol for this. This is a new science. So how do I prove my work? By testimonies of people. So according to
that was what I was gonna that's what I was gonna ask you next. So let's say, just to walk, because now someone's like, all right, now I'm intrigued. I want to walk through an example. Let's say there's Susan. Susan is like, I've learned about the scalar energy. I don't know about it. This sounds new. It sounds interesting, but I'm intrigued. They call you, Tom. They send their picture in. You use your instrument.
Mhm.
You start to, send these vitamins through the quantum field. And then how quickly does Susan get benefits, and what kind of feedback is Susan giving you?
Usually within 2 or 3 weeks, people say that their fingernails are stronger. Why? Well, perhaps because we're creating and we're assembling those antioxidants, those vitamins that are needed for fingernail growth. Others say that their hair is a fuller body of hair without split ends. Some people say that this has helped their mobility, their joint movement. Okay. So within 2 to 3 weeks, most people notice some type of change. Now, again, when I'm working with a photograph through the scalar realm, that is a different interpretation of physics. It's not electromagnetic physics, or what I say, it's not Newtonian physics. So what we've learned in high school and college is true and accurate. Newtonian physics is indeed a body of language, a body of study. It's a discipline. But this is a new science with different laws than that of Newtonian science.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there anyone that has said, you're working with my photo, nothing is happening. I don't feel these benefits. I don't see, I'm not seeing it. Have you ever experienced that?
We have some people say, I just didn't realize a change, a significant change. And the remedy for that is twofold. Either stay on the program for another month or so, or perhaps it's simply not for you. Perhaps this type of quantum healing, this type of quantum science is not for you. Some people just feel comfortable staying with the electromagnetic spectrum with physical products. I don't work with physical products. I work with information in the scalar realm, and to each their own.
Yeah. So it's a different, would you call it, how would you define this? Would this be okay, so today, most of the time, and I'm speaking from, because I'm in the United States, for anybody that's listening. I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada. So you could be tuning in right now from Europe or Asia or somewhere else. I know here in the US, the most common thing is I have pain. Let's just say I have back pain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try some things. I might go to a chiropractor. I might go to a masseuse. I might go to the doctor and just say, do you have some pain medicine? Because my pain, I don't know what's going on. My back is killing me. So that's Western medicine.
Right.
Then there's Eastern, you can go and say, well, why don't we do acupuncture? Let's try that route. And then some might still today, despite the hundreds of years of studies and things like that, say that's alternative, because it's not the common practice where we're taking, medicine or a painkiller or certain techniques, or it's alternative because it's a less common practice. Would you say that you put scalar energy and these healing, product or programs in that category because it's so new, it's still considered like this alternative form of healing?
Sure. If you wanted to put that in that category within that classification, which is new emerging technology, maybe integrative technology, so be it. The only distinction is this: when you're working within that dimension, within that construct, it's still electromagnetic energy. What I'm working with is a different dimension. It's really consciousness. Consciousness. That's the dimension that I'm working in. So if you know of any alternative health practice that works with consciousness, then that's right on. That's spot on. That's what I'm working with. And I want really to accentuate that point. This is non-physical. This is consciousness or thought or prayer.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay. So then, because then that's expanding, my thinking as we're talking here. And I mean, people meditate as an example.
Right.
People do healing work by taking time to change their thoughts or to have stillness, to do practices that are not so much physical. It's more, in the mind, how you're focusing and what you're thinking, because if you can change that, then you can change your energy, you can change your mood, and that therefore determines what you do with your physical energy. So there's I do think that there's practices that people adopt that are not always in the physical realm, because they are wanting to achieve a higher level of consciousness, a higher level of being. And so that's, it kind of made me think of that when you just said that. What is the common participation? So if you have someone, they do the photograph, they're, with you, let's say for 2 weeks. I know you have a 15-day thing we'll talk about here, and I know that it's on the website as well. How long do people stay doing this type of program with you? What's the lifespan?
To mention, our number one goal is to treat everybody in the world by way of their photograph, at least for the 15-day free trial. And I'll start with that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after that,
Okay,
I'd say a percentage of people stay and will maybe pay for a 30-day session thereafter. And I'm very realistic about this because this is, again, an emerging science. So I want to always start with a free session. What percentage stay with us over the years? Maybe 1%, 2%. That's fine. That's fine. My goal is, it's never been to make money or to become famous. My goal is simply to introduce this new emerging science, scalar energy, what I call in this case quantum healing, non-physical healing. And with that in mind, I think the best way to do it is through the free trial. To answer your question, 1 or 2% of the people would actually become a paying retail client.
Mm-hmm. So tell us about the 15 days. So if somebody is tuning in now, they've spent some time hearing what this is, and they're saying, all right, I have enough curiosity to want to pursue this. How would they go about doing that?
Sure. So there's 3 standardized sessions that we offer during the 15-day session, the free session. As I mentioned, we're able to assemble nutrients. Now, we do all of that by way of your photograph on the force field of the photograph. We assemble nutrients. That's one function. Another function, another protocol, we can balance the chakras, meaning what? That these instruments are very strong scalar energy instruments, and they, I would call, interface, or they make a quantum entanglement immediately with your 7 chakras and your brain waves. So we can balance the brain waves. The upshot, the result is many people say that their dream state is enhanced, or that they don't have a phobia that they once had, or their addictions have been weakened or significantly attenuated. And then the third protocol is we're able to detect on a photograph the presence of a germ, a microbe. And then we're able to send information into that force field to break down that microbe, such as a virus, a bacterium, or a fungus. So consider what I'm saying. Instructions, information always precedes the action. So scalar instructions will assemble nutrients, will balance our chakras, and will detect and eliminate or transmute microbes, viruses, and fungi and bacteria. All of that is through this interface with the instrument and a person's photograph. The photograph is the key element because it allows the instrument to identify your aura or your quantum body, your non-physical aura, and then make a connection between the instrument and you. If I were to give you an analogy, if I wanted to send a text message, then that's my information from one cell phone to another. Okay? So the information system that I'm working with is not a cell phone. It is a scalar energy instrument, and the information that I send is through the quantum field through a photograph.
Wow. This is so fascinating to me. I have more questions. I don't know that I'm asking them all in the right order here. So maybe one basic one is this instrument
Yes.
that you're talking about. Is there just one instrument? Are there different instruments?
There are different instruments. I have 40 or 50 scalar energy instruments. We're always trying to improve our approach. I have engineers that work with me. And the point that I'm getting is this. We are trying to set the groundwork for a global healing ministry. The day is coming that we'll receive 1 million photographs a day. So we want to prepare to be able to work with not only one photograph, but with multiple photographs. So to answer your question.
And people can go and go to your website. Tell us what your website is.
Scalarlight.com.
And they can actually see an example of what an instrument looks like?
Yes. We picture the instruments. Yeah, exactly.
What if somebody said, Tom, this is miraculous.
Yeah.
Can I just have one of these instruments? Can I buy one from you? Is that possible?
I would not do that because it carries such a great responsibility. And it's not easy to operate these. So I don't intend to manufacture these instruments. It's too problematic.
So it's something that would be administered. Is there more than just you that does this to administer it? Do you have other, folks that you work with?
Yeah, I have other folks that I work with. My drawback right now, frankly, is I'm the only scalar light researcher that I know with this proclivity, with this attention. So in other words, in order for this science to grow, we need other researchers. It doesn't make sense to only have one plumber in the world or one computer technician in the world. That doesn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would think that would be a scale thing.
Right.
Because if there were you could have this extreme crazy backlog, there's not, okay. So for example, it's like, okay, you're in Florida. Obviously, people that are listening are everywhere, but there could be just Florida that's like, hey, Tom is here. We want to support this. And you've got all of the people there doing that. And then, you get the broader masses. That's a lot of volume, to manage. So I would definitely think that scaling is something that would happen at some point.
Consider this. If anybody in the world who had a business, so to speak, could deliver their product or service by way of a photograph, that's the easy way. Okay? You don't have to package a photograph. You don't have to ship it. You don't have to manufacture it. A photograph is simple. So you can see how quickly this will scale. Yes, the day is coming that we'll be able to work with 1 billion people a year by way of their photograph.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And is that the predominant way that you work with people, or is there other, programs attached to this beyond that?
The only way I work right now, the instruments are designed to work with photographs because that's the way we access consciousness or the scalar energy signal. There are other programs. We have hormone program, natural foods, We have a program for endorphins and neurotransmitters. So there's other protocols, modalities that we've worked with. After I perfect this approach to health, I want to use these instruments on the next step for free energy devices. Again, if this energy is from the sun and the star, if we can capture that star energy, then we have essentially captured free energy for the world. This will end the energy crisis. So scalar energy is the pathway to an energy source that's unlimited and clean. So in the future, you'll see scalar energy instruments used to power the world.
Wow. This is so incredible. There was another question that I had, and it's escaping me. The instruments, the longevity of it, the testimonials. We kind of talked about that.
Yes.
Well, and I guess, one natural one, and you started to go there, was the future. So as you think about 5 years from now,
Yeah.
and maybe 20 years from now, what does that look like for scalar energy?
If the world takes note of our work as a group, I think within the next 5 years, we could probably start working with 1 billion people a year by way of their photograph. The word is getting out. And again, it's not too difficult to send me on a collage 20 or 30 photographs. So if I start receiving 1 million photographs a day, and we could do that, we have photo uploaders, then we're well on our way to one of my goals, to be able to work with, treat in the quantum field 1 billion people a year. In 20 years, I would hope that the world is powered by scalar energy, that we no longer have this energy crisis, a shortage of energy. Why, again, is scalar energy so important? There's no shortage of stars. You just have to, if you will, harness the ambient energy of stars that's found anywhere, including our atmosphere. So eventually we're going to power the world with this free, clean energy.
How does that differ from, because today we have solar, right? So solar, people are going more green, getting more efficiency by putting like solar panels on homes and commercial buildings and out in even farms and things of that nature. Is there a connection? Is there similarity with that?
There is many similarities, and the only drawback to solar today is we're still converting that into an electromagnetic signal. Now, if we had solar panels that would just keep it with scalar energy, keep in mind, scalar energy never experiences entropy. So the energy would never die. So in other words, if you had solar panels, you could power not only your home, but a city. Because electricity, electromagnetic energy, always experiences entropy. Whereas scalar energy, it never weakens. So with a scalar energy solar power, you can not only, it would be multiplied as to what you can do with it.
Whoa. Okay, now the other question that I was thinking of came back to me, which is, if there's someone working with you and they're starting to receive the benefits that you talked about, so maybe it is the hair with the hair or the nails or some of these things where they're starting to see that. When you talked about, some of that quantum stuff that starts to perhaps heal things, is there a conversation or a summarization, an exchange between you and someone to actually discuss that? Do people ever ask you questions like, hey, I'm starting to see and feel this. Is this something that we could discuss? Is there something that, you're learning from doing this work on my photograph? Like how interactive is the experience?
Good point. We work with a group that will answer the phone. I contract that out. And that group has been trained to answer general questions. I will still take, at this time, specific questions by email. And every once in a while, I'll speak to people on the phone. But I have to be very clear. I can't give health advice because I'm not a health professional. People will tell me about their experience, and I will tell them what I've done in my laboratory by way of their photograph. But I can't necessarily attribute photographic work in my lab to their well-being, to their physical well-being. There are perhaps some cause and effect relationships that we can explore, but I'm not trying to avoid the issue, but I have to caution people. Your testimony for this new science is the key. This is the beginning body of evidence. So we can't lump this in with what I would call medical science. It's not. They're two different sciences. So what we need is a new language, a new interpretation. We need new testing. And I'm all for that, but this is going to be a long road. I can't emphasize enough, this is not a medical science. This is not Newtonian physics.
Yeah, this is totally different. I mean, that's why I knew from the beginning of this conversation that this was going to be a not your everyday, tea talk. Well, and and that leads me to kind of a broader question. Short of going down a rabbit hole, because I feel like in some ways I started to think that when I first learned of scalar energy, is what is the best way to learn? So obviously people can go to scalarlight.com, get information, start educating themselves about the programs, the benefits, reach out to your team and ask questions.
Yes.
Is there resources that you recommend for people to not maybe become as expert as you, but learn a little bit more?
Sadly, very few. Now, specific to what I'm doing, I've written probably 300 articles and they're on our website. Now, keep in mind, this is a new science, so you're not going to find much information on it. If you look at the internet today, everybody has a different interpretation of scalar. Well, there are many interpretations of scalar energy, and there are different modalities or different practices with scalar energy. So what is my point? There is no common language. There is no a singular definition of scalar energy. That's how new this is, people. So if you want to learn from the masters, I'll name 3 scientists that I have a great respect for, and there is some literature. Nikola Tesla, Galen Hieronymus, and Thomas Morey, those 3 men. I've written ebooks on those 3 men. Those ebooks are on our website. But keep in mind, there's very few experts. And what is an expert in scalar energy? Somebody who not only theorizes, but creates instruments. So when you have that hands-on experience, not only theoretical, but practical, and you've created scalar energy instruments and you could see how scalar energy operates, then you have expertise. Now, not to dissuade anybody from this pursuit, there's very few scalar energy scientists who've ever created and harnessed the energy. It's not electricity. So, the long story short, study Tesla, Galen Hieronymus, and Thomas Morey.
Wow. How long does it take to create an instrument?
Well, I just was dealing with a manufacturer. I had to put in my order for just one part of the instrument. We're looking at a lead time of 4 to 5 months just for one part. Now consider one instrument has at least 40, 50 parts. So some of those parts I can manufacture on my own, some I have to order out. To create an instrument right now, and keep in mind, this is not an assembly line, at least a year.
Wow. How many instruments would it take to be able to get through 1 billion photographs?
I'd only need 1 or 2 instruments. One of these instruments can easily work with 10, 20 million photographs a day. So I would have to have one as a backup. Now, keep in mind, a photograph can be miniaturized, and that's where we're going with this. Okay, you can miniaturize
something as small as like a 1 inch by what size are those photographs that you have?
As long as some part of a person's skin is revealed, is photographed. Why? Because the instrument will pick up even a slight pixel of skin. Now, what is skin? It represents us, a person. It represents their energetic signal or their force field. So keep in mind, if I were to place this photograph in the sunlight, the sunlight would permeate that photograph. Well, likewise, if I place this photograph inside my instrument, the sunlight scalar energy will permeate those photographs. So we could easily work with 1 million people in an hour, 2 million people in 1 hour. This is mind-boggling what this technology can do. There's nothing like scalar energy technology.
Yeah, this is the, really, truly, this is the first time that I've been exposed to this. So what would you, to me, I feel like there's so much further to go.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the percentage is of people's awareness level. I feel like it's less than 5% of people would probably know what we're even talking about if they've never tuned into this kind of conversation before. What's the volume today like of people that are reaching out to even question? I mean, they might not be sending in their picture yet, but maybe they just have a few questions before they do that. Like, is it?
We receive 200 phone calls a day. We receive
Really?
200 emails a day. This is just, we've just scratched the surface. Imagine once people realize that this is a valid science, even though it's poorly understood, and we start receiving 1 million photographs a day. Oh my goodness, I don't know how we're going to scale up as far as personnel, but I'll need some donations from the world. I can't do this single-handedly. I need resources. I need help. Anyway, we're busy now, and I can just see the good results that we're having, and that the word of mouth, it's all word of mouth, is getting out there. And the proof is in the pudding. If you look at our website, there's thousands of testimonies. Watch us grow in the next 5 years.
Yeah. So scalarlight.com, people can reach out and they can sign up to do a 15-day trial.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
To experience for themselves, and then thereafter they can work with you if they want to continue to get the benefits and get even more out of the program.
Exactly.
That is awesome. Yeah. I'll make sure that the website is in the show notes so people have access to that. I'm sure this will generate, some questions, and people may reach out to ask that. But I do think that the website's very comprehensive. So if you are having more questions, I definitely suggest that is the best place that you go to get more information about scalar energy. But Tom, before I let you go, I do just have a few questions for you, for people to get to know you better. As you know, the title of my podcast is called Born Unbreakable. I do believe that despite the experiences that we go through, we are unbreakable in terms of our spirit, in terms of our character.
Right.
What about you would you say makes you feel unbreakable?
I have trust in God, and God helps me. And if I'm with God, I'm unstoppable. I'm unbreakable.
Yeah, that's beautiful. What about your bucket list? What would you say is one thing that's on your bucket list?
I'd love to see world peace. I'd love to see the world live in harmony. And pursuant to that, if I could bring forward this new technology, this would solve many problems. Imagine if we could solve the energy crisis. Then we would not fight over oil or natural gas. Consider what I'm saying. Free energy puts out of the equation any war for oil or natural gas.
And we all know the state the world is in today. And I think many would agree that we would want to see peace over much of what we're seeing if we turned on any news channel at this very minute. What about a self-limiting belief? What is a self-limiting belief that you've personally had to overcome?
I can do anything with God. And if I just depend on myself, I'm lost. I am limited. But if I can work
Mhm.
with God, this is my Christian background. I'm unlimited.
Mhm.
Frankly, that's a good segue. I think scalar energy is God's energy. So if I'm working with this unlimited energy, I have unlimited potential. That's why I'm so excited about this. To go back to my earlier statement, if this is unlimited energy, then it ends the energy crisis. And eventually we'll use this
Mhm.
unlimited energy, scalar energy, as instructive. I think it really can help our cognitive processes. I think we'll eventually learn through scalar energy.
Wow. Well, so my next question is around your superpowers.
Mm.
I know that one of them, because I can tell, is your passion to study this subject and obviously bring its benefits to the world. What would you say is another one of your superpowers in life?
And everybody has this superpower, the superpower of communication. If you could show somebody a better way and you could do it in a very clear and concise fashion, you have the ability to change events, to change people. You can call that prayer. You can call that some type of compliment. You can call that some type of psychological benefit. Call it what you will. Everybody has that ability to change themselves and to change those around them. And if we had a world like that, and everybody has that superpower, whether through prayer or through admonition or through example, it would be a different world.
I hear you. It would definitely be a different world. Tom, if there was one last piece of advice that you could give to anybody listening, what would that be?
I'm gonna boil this down and make this so simple. The human mind and the human heart are scalar energy vessels. What do I mean? Brain waves are scalar waves. Emotions are scalar waves. So the mind and the heart are perfect scalar energy vessels that God has given us. So everybody's a scalar energy expert. I mentioned that when I started the program. Everybody has the proper use of their mind and their feelings, their emotions, and thus it's in our destiny to think well and to feel well.
Wow. That is powerful. That is powerful. I know that there's no doubt that in this nearly 45 minutes, people have learned something new today. And then just remind us the ways that you can be reached. So we talked about scalarlight.com. Are there other ways that people can reach out to you?
We have a Facebook page, but I think the best thing to do is start at the website. Again, I know this is somewhat nebulous. This is a new science. You're not going to find much supporting literature from academia today. So start at scalarlight.com.
I like keeping it simple.
Yeah, why
I'm a
not?
fan. Sometimes we've got 17 ways that people can reach us, and then therefore they don't because there's just too many places to go. So when you pick one place, then there's the one place that people can go. But I just want to thank you for your time,
Thank you.
and also just for your fortitude. Anytime there is something new in the world, that deserves the airtime and the credence and the testimony. It's hard work. I can only imagine, what it's been like all these years of doing this research and wanting to get it out into the world. So thank you for putting your energy into something that you are passionate about, because I think it's a good example for anybody listening that's put their energy into anything. There's been times that they may have wanted to give up, and I think you are such a testament to somebody who has really stuck with it.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and likewise. And it's a life well lived, and it's a life well spent. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Tom.
Thank you, Desiree.
Tom Paladino. What a fascinating subject. For those of you who are watching on video, I want to just point out that I am eating a lollipop, which is not a common thing that I do on my show recording. And it was because I had a tickle in my throat and I didn't have a cough drop next to me. And this was the closest thing. So it's not that I'm trying to, be rude and eat or something with a guest. So you probably only would have known that if you're actually watching me on video. So I just wanted to mention that in case you thought that was that was weird or odd. But it's fitting because I think this is such a unique subject. So we could just do unique things today as we tune into scalar energy. So here's the first thing that I'll say. I would love your feedback. What are your thoughts? If you want to send me a DM, if you want to send me an email, I would love to know what your perspective is on this topic. I am a student. I said that from the very beginning of this episode. I'm learning about scalar energy for the first time. It is like the NFT, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, vibe when those things first came out and everybody was viciously trying to Google and determine what was in it for them and how much money they could get for it and whatnot. Obviously, this is a different topic, but the benefits are not so much the money that you would get, but the health benefits that come with it. And that is of the conscious, it's the consciousness level. So, the same way that we may say after meditating, you have more peace, you have more tranquility, you have more clarity. It's possible. This could be something. I can understand if there's a lot of questions, if there's a lot of skepticism. I think with anything new that has to do with science and research, it's common. I mean, look at COVID. There's people still today, 2 years later, saying, I don't know about this. I don't know about the vaccine. And we could sit here for hours and talk about the different perspectives and opinions on that. And I think this is another one of those topics where people could tune in and say, yep, this is a really cool thing, of wave of the future. Let's all dig in, discover, find out, submit your picture. And there's those who are still trying to figure out what's what and have 25 more questions or more that they may want to ask. But you know what? I would say keep learning. Keep learning. If there are more questions, you can go to scalarlight.com. I know I probably have 10 more questions and, I didn't get to cover everything. I was really being present in the moment with Tom, asking things that were coming to my mind as you either watched online by video or are tuning in to do. So give it a shot. What harm could come from it? Or at least tell me, what you think about it. If you do want to submit your picture and see for yourself, because sometimes that is the way that we learn and grow, is to see for ourselves the benefit of things, you can do that. So go to Scalar Light, SCALARLIGHT.com. Let me make sure I have that right. I do, scalarlight.com. And you could find out more. Read more of the descriptions, learn about the programs, the stores, the articles, the 15-day trial. Right when you get on the page, upper right corner, 15-day trial is there. No information like credit card required. So take this time to explore. Explore. All right. Well, hopefully you learned something new today about scalar energy. It's all about learning. It's all about growing. It's all about asking ourselves questions so we can become the better version of ourselves every single day. Like I always say, you are your only limit, so take action today. I sure do appreciate you tuning into the Born Unbreakable podcast. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this with a friend who, hey, maybe wants to learn about scalar energy, or maybe just would like a inspirational podcast that they can listen to on a regular basis and hear from people all around the world and their expertise, their stories, their perseverance, and how they're born unbreakable. Join me next time for another inspirational episode. Thanks for tuning in.